In the early years of Jefferson Land Trust's history, primarily we were providing tools to landowners who wanted to leave a legacy of special memory places for future generations of their family, their grandchildren, their great-grandchildren, and so on.
Aldo did the restoration and planting trees, probably one of the first people to do that in Wisconsin. It was a new idea to try to restore the land and take care of it. He really had that emotional connection of as being a caretaker of the land as opposed to an owner of the land.
Okay, we're set.
Doing this project makes me feel as if that's the first time that I've really am carrying on his legacy on our own, which is really special.
I tell people we're like Donald Boone. We don't want to be where we can see anybody's smoke coming out of their chimney.
We were really thrilled to be able to put it in the land trust and also in a family trust. It gives us a secure feeling about it for our family.
Good boy.
When I think about my family legacy, I have to go back and think about my grandfather who purchased the entire bluff looking directly over Chimicum Creek 100 years ago. And this is our home. This is a cabin that was built by my Uncle Alan and my Aunt Helen in 1932. You feel like you're in another world, the way it was when the Chimicum tribe occupied the mouth of Chimicum Creek. When we first came up here in 1970, this beach was covered with logs, and there was a chipper here making chips for the paper mill. Thanks to all of those continued efforts of the Land Trust and so many others, all of us can come here now and enjoy this wonderful resource.
Ever since the Chimicum Creek Summer Chum Run was wiped out in the late 1980s, many organizations and community members have been working to bring the summer chum back and to preserve the incredible habitat of the Chimicum Creek estuary. We've been working with Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife, North Olympic Salmon Coalition, the Jefferson County Conservation District, and others to protect this incredible habitat. And we're really excited to have just acquired this 5-acre parcel here in the lower main stem of Chimicum Creek for permanent preservation. As the Land Trust evolved, we shifted our focus more and more to protecting the wildlife habitat, the memory places of the migrating newts, of the salmon that return to Chimicum Creek year after year after year to spawn in the natal streams of their ancestors.
It's like a mirror, looking through an enchanted mirror.
What happens in your creek around here?
So the salmon lays eggs in the creek. Those eggs hatch, and they get old. They swim out into the ocean. Then the salmon that swam out into the ocean came back, died, and laid other eggs.
Do they come back to this very creek?
Yep. It's home to so many animals, and I just like it a lot.
A corridor allows us to link all of these important biological features here on the North Quimper Peninsula. That include wetlands, beaches, forests, and even former prairie sites. We have to sort of put our heads inside the animals that live here, and they often need very different things than we do. They need places where they can go and allow them to travel through relatively undisturbed habitats. 50 years from now, this is going to look very different, and this corridor is going to be like a ribbon of green, a ribbon of life flowing through these neighborhoods.
And you'd be amazed how old that cedar might be. Perhaps.
The great thing about the Jefferson Land Trust is that they're coming in, they're finding these areas, and they're setting them aside for the future, for 10 years, 50 years, essentially forever. And that allows these places to come. We can celebrate as humans, but also provides habitat for wildlife.
Wending our way up the watershed and through JLT's history, we come to the fertile farms that feed our bellies, provide scenic vistas for our eyes, and grow our agricultural economy and culture.
None of this would have happened had not organizations like the Land Trust helped support these young farmers who came in and said, hey, here's an environment in which we can try to start a farm and grow our crops and sell our crops and survive and prosper.
The way carrots used to be.
The Chimicum Farm store is in a building which is owned by my cousin. It used to be an auto parts store, which is now sort of turned back to where it was in 1900. We're very fortunate to have fresh meats, produce, cheese, bread available right from our own backyard.
I believe that it's very important to where our meat comes from now more than it ever has been, and to know the person who raised your food, to know the farmer, to know the land it was raised on, to know that it was treated with respect and that it was treated well, and that the animals lived their full and healthy life and that they served their purpose of being. Oh, Rosebud, get down. I've always been interested in protecting nature and being a part of what it took to set aside land for the next generation.
I felt pretty confident that I wanted to be a farmer, and that's just what I wanted to do. Mark Bowman from Shorebank came up with this idea that, well, what about if the land trust was involved, and if the land trust actually bought the land, and then I would sort of have 5 years or so to buy the land from the land trust. And so this would give me a way to sort of get my feet on the ground, get the business going, and they're just all so excited about it. I'm so grateful to them. It's sort of unbelievable and definitely a huge gift.
Kirk was way ahead of his time. I mean, he was doing organic beef 25 years ago. He was happy just driving around the farm and looking at the cows, and the cows look happy. It made him happy when the cows were happy.
It seems like you really wanted to see the farm stay a farm forever.
Yeah. And it's going to.
It's going to.
This way.
From working farms to working forests, we're now at the top of the watershed. Jefferson Land Trust now has an opportunity to help shape the future of our working forests of East Jefferson County. Just as we've been so excited to play such a significant role in the working farmland preservation and economy, we now are excited to help create that same enthusiasm around our working forest landscapes. Our forests provide so many benefits to us, from carbon sequestration to water quality to habitat corridors to wonderful paths for exploring the forests.
Janice and Erica, they're from Latvia. Janice was a forester and Erica, she was a cartographer. I met Jan in about 1990. There was a windstorm that blew down quite a few of the trees. I was a consulting forester and Jan hired me to harvest the blew down, market them, and reforest. We became pretty good friends over the years. After Jan passed, Erica called me and said, my dogs seem to like you more than anyone else that comes here. If anything happened to me, would you take care of them for me? I said, I like the dogs too, I'd be glad to. So after a little discussion, it was decided that she would offer me a life estate on the house in exchange for caring for her dogs.
And you live on the property?
Yes.
Where do you live?
It's there about a quarter mile to the east. We got the idea that the 100 acres with the home on it would become a preserve right away, and the 20 acres would be a commercial forest to generate revenue for the care of the preserve.
What excites me about the Bulis property so much is an opportunity to do volunteer work to help create the trail to pass on to my family and to make it more available to our community.
And if you look at this bark on this particular tree, you can see how gnarly it is, that this is really an old tree and has been standing here somewhere between 300 and 500 years.
The Land Trust is proactive. I don't see where there's really any boundaries or limits to its activities because it touches basically every aspect of our lives in this community.